Hello my friends, Takuya here, and welcome back to another My Little Pony Hearts of Iron 4 video. Yeah, we're back. We're playing this again because people have been begging me for days now here to go and please play it, because yeah, there's been an April Fool's update, as they do every year. And honestly, this entire thing is fascinating. So you can see here from the update that it is called the Herald and the Beast, and the entire premise of that is that this is a collaborative effort specifically between the Abanar mod of EU4, which no one on this channel has actually seen me play EU4, though you may have seen it when I did some stuff here with TikTok a while back. That is the other large Paradox title that I definitely plan on playing here in the future as EU5, it seems, or Project Caesar, if you will. That is something that is going to be happening here soon, I hope. But to explain, EU4 is a game that takes place from the year 1444 and goes all the way until 1821. So it's, you know, European exploration and colonization and that type of thing. It's Paradox's other major strategy game. And the Abanar mod is the fantasy version of that. Like, it creates an entire new world in the same way that Equestria War does this with, you know, Hearts of Iron 4. So in this mod, of course, we have a world that is ruled over by ponies, zebras, unicorns, hippogriffs, llamas, and so much more. There are just tons of different races that are in this, but they are all sentient animal beings. So what happens when an elf from another world and his horse are transported into this world? Well, that, my friends, is the story of the Herald. I know we've played Tabuk multiple times because for whatever reason, this seems to just get a ton of different flavor that gets added to it. So yeah, if we go over here to custom game rules and we scroll all the way to the bottom to the Herald and the Beast, a mysterious elf known as Jadar Jezixur awakens to find himself in the desert near Tabuk. What sort of strange religion might this strange creature establish in Zebrica as he tries to find a way home? The content has been part of a joint effort between the Equestria War and Abanar teams for April Fool's 2025. Yeah, let's do it. Historical AI off and just let the chaos reign supreme, you know? As I'm sure anyone who's seen a previous playthrough that I've done here of Tabuk, this is a pretty fun nation that has a lot of very interesting mini games associated with it, as you, from the very beginning, are trying to sell out your country in order to be able to steal as much money as you possibly can before fleeing. So yeah, that's something. And so we do start with a national focus here, but at the same time, we technically don't have to do actually any of this because we're going to get a brand new one here soon. When do we get it? Well, shortly after a great magical anomaly. At midday today, the world was shaken by an extremely unusual event. The sun stopped moving, the sky glowed strange shades of orange, and the very air itself seemed to quake. However, just as quickly as this phenomenon occurred, it stopped, and everything returned to normal. For some, this was seen as a sign from their local deity. For others, they began to worry. Those who were magically inclined would tell that this was something big that had just happened. The question was, what was it? I have quite literally only played like 10 minutes of this in order to playtest it from the beginning, and I can tell you this right now, this is going to get really weird. But hey, my friends, a little insert before it is that we move on. I want to say from the very get-go, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to support my channel, you can definitely check out my merch. I'm trying to release new designs every single month, and as you can imagine, the designs are very, topical for the world around us typically. Along with that, we look at a lot of different places around the world, but if you want to actually join me on an adventure, I am currently leading a series of trips this year to Turkey, to Mongolia, and to Japan. As it stands, there is only one spot left for Turkey and only 2 spots left for Mongolia, and the time limit on actually getting those trips is running out fast. The Japan trip we're launching is actually the second trip because the first one sold out so incredibly fast that we had to do another. And already half the spots are gone, and I have not even advertised this thing yet. This is the first time. So if you want to see some ancient sites and explore the world with me, by all means, sign up. The links are down in my description. Anyway, I'm not going to bore you enough with more self-plugging. Thank you all for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. An oddity in the desert. Throughout the ages, the world has seen many strange and otherwise unique creatures appear and disappear. These innumerable mysteries often draw gazes when they appear, although as the world becomes smaller with technological advancements, their uniqueness often fades into obscurity. However, on some occasions, these oddities prove to be more than just a passing glance. Sometimes they attract more than just a little bit of attention. Sometimes they can change the course of history. Peashooter was the sort of pony who planned for everything. His one and only goal was to steal as much money as possible from Tabuk's coffers before returning home, so every loose thread and potential problem needed to be accounted for. However, a new issue has made its way to his desk, a report of a tall, bipedal creature unlike any the world had ever seen before, emerging in the desert near the city of Tabuk. No need to be alarmed, I can always depart early if it becomes a problem. This now changes the national focus tree to the Herald of Surail. Yeah, that focus tree you saw here before, we have only 3 things now. The Herald arrives. The warriors of my Jadari Legion were deep in battle against the fearsome gnolls as I faced Zaka personally. I am, however, no longer on the dunes of the eastern Salahad. I do not see my foe, nor either of our armies. Instead, I alone in another world with my mount. But that is not the only thing that seems so strange. Yes, it had been some time since Jadar Jeziksur had awoken from his battle with Zaka, Devourer of Suns. The fearsome gnoll had gathered a formidable force, but he did not have the light of Serail on his side. Jadar looked around him as his horse reached the crest of the dunes he had found himself in. This desert was a juxtaposition of comforting and unnerving. It was definitely not his homeland of East Salahad. He focused on the last thing he remembered before awakening in the strange land. The mighty desert elves of his Jadari Legion had clashed with the terrible gnolls of Zaka in the war for the Eastern Sands. The battle was fierce, but in time, Zaka's forces began to overwhelm those of Jadar. As Jadar lay dying before the gnoll, his thoughts drifted to his family. He whispered a prayer for all their safety, for if the malevolent dark was victorious, then they, along with all the world, would suffer. Suddenly, a brilliant, almost divine light appeared in the sky, blinding him and silencing the battle in its entirety, and then... yeah, I guess he gets straight... like, this is straight up an isekai story, in the same way that, the cat story was the same thing from last time, I think, which... I know for those of you, there's going to be a lot of comments in the comment section that says that I still haven't done the Solaris playthrough for this. I know I'm going to. I just literally have not had the time. That's coming. We will have cats take over the galaxy. Jadar supposed that this light must have been the intervention by Serail. How else was he to explain his mysterious transportation to this foreign land? His forces, the Desert Legion of Jari, were nowhere to be seen, but neither were the gnolls of Zaka. Not to mention, ever since he had awoken, he felt different, he supposed. He placed his hand on his chest and took a deep breath. He could feel something had changed within him, but as for what, he did not know. That feeling could be investigated later. Now he needed to find food and water. He had not lived for over 200 years in the desert just to die to it. Just as Jadar tugged at the reins of his horse towards the setting sun, he noticed something in the distance in the opposite direction. He had to squint, but he saw a small group of zebras walking through the desert just as he was. He observed them for a short while, only to become even more perplexed as the animals appeared to be clad in cloth wrappings like a desert elf would wear, as well as... wait, are those zebras talking to each other? Jadar wondered aloud. It seems like they are, his horse concurred. Jadar stared at his faithful steed in utter shock. His horse can suddenly talk now that he's in a new universe. His task. My purpose here is not just to survive. If I was brought into this world, then I must consider what I can do to fulfill the will of Serail. Though I do not see any of my kin, I am comforted by the presence of creatures who can speak with me as I speak with them. Perhaps I must try to do what I can for now. Serail will guide me. Friends and monsters. I can walk, Jahorse, I insist. His horse's name is Jahorse. Okay. And I insist that I carry you, Jadar. Your weight is negligible to me, and I am more than happy to aid you however I can. In truth, Jadar was starting to get a bit tired from walking so much, but he did not want to treat another sapient being as a slave. I am not comfortable treating you like a common animal, Jahorse. Jahorse raised an eyebrow at the elf. I have served you all of my life, Jadar. I have no intention to stop now. He trotted forward and turned around to face Jadar. I do not know what mystical powers transported us here, but it has brought me great understanding of myself and the world around me. Before, I merely enjoyed your voice and your praise. Now I can see you as a closest friend. Jahorse spun himself and gestured toward his saddle. Let me help you, as friends do. In time, the two spotted a settlement in the distance. Relief washed over both of them as their meager supplies had dried up earlier that day. The speed at which they rode increased in excitement to reach civilization. But as they got closer, they noticed something concerning. Screaming. They picked up the pace and saw the many other equine figures were running around as a strange worm-like creature with tentacles erupting from its mouth chased around them. The villagers seemed ill-equipped to defeat the monster, and it had a few blades and sharp instruments protruding from its scaled exterior. A monstrous roar, a cloud of dust left in its wake. It seemed like something from the Masne old legends about the sand demon, only this beast was much, much smaller than the gargantuan dragon Jadar knew of. Still, this thing was trying to kill the innocent, and Jadar had not been made Serail's herald to sit idle in his mission. Despite exchanging no words, Jahorse seemed to know what must be done. How shall we approach this, Jadar? If blades can pierce it, so can arrows. Fight and drive it away. Savior. Now, my friends, I know at the time I'm just pausing this here for a second. I'm going to be reading all of these varying different texts. And so if this is something that bothers you, obviously you can pause if you want to read it yourself faster and then skip past it if you want. But this is a whole new story that has been created for this. So I am going to be reading each and every single thing that comes up. The sheer amount of writing, effort, story creation that goes into Equestrian War, this is genuinely the most impressive mod, which sounds, again, crazy to say. It is the most impressive mod in the entirety of Hearts of Iron 4. I will stand by that. The work they put into this thing, the skill is immense. Today was not Lightbringer's day. Of course, a Tatzelworm would attack her friend's village while she was visiting. Of course, it would be a tiny one, making it far more agile than its full-grown counterparts. Of course, Light was the only unicorn in the area at the time, and of course she left her gun at home. It was all Light could do to hold the Tatzelworm's attention. She had barely dodged its tentacles thrice in quick succession, and her muscles were screaming in agony, letting her know that a fourth dodge attempt might be her last. She desperately fired meager magic bolts at the beast, but to no avail. She really wished she was still in Tabuk. Just as the Tatzelworm was about to reach her again, she was roughly scooped up off the ground and pulled away. In a daze, she looked at what had grabbed her, some sort of minotaur thing with an arched nose and pointed ears. It wasn't quite the same, but it was seated on the back of a large muscular horse. The unusual being glanced at her, then spoke with an exotic yet commanding accent. "Are you okay?" She merely nodded, still shocked by the sudden appearance of her mysterious savior. The bipedal stranger set her down some distance away from the Tatzelworm. "Help gather the others. I shall defeat this monster." Definitely a male voice, Light noted. Just as quickly as he finished speaking, her new friend sped away on the back of his horse. Light had heard tale of Abyssinian slave owners who rode ponies like that, but this seemed different. These two were companions, she could tell. Light shook her head and gathered herself. Her assessment of this odd fellow could wait. He was out there trying to save her and the other villagers. She ran around and helped organize those she could find, while the bipedal fired arrow after arrow from atop the horse into the scales of the Tatzel. Wait, arrows. He was using a bow, of all things, instead of a gun or magic. Light suddenly felt inadequate, as the archer was so skilled that he drove several arrows into the cracks between the scales in quick succession. The Tatzelworm roared loudly in pain, dove back into the sand, then retreated from the pair that had injured it. I didn't know who this guy was, but he had just saved her and the entire village. The miracle. Despite the damage that had been caused to the village, there were no fatalities. The local ponies and zebras began its reconstruction in earnest, while Jadar briefly rested against the side of a sandstone wall. Jahorse lay near him and was curiously staring at the smaller equines. Jadar took a sip from his water skin and contemplated today's events. Many strange things had happened, and he was still unsure of Surael's purpose in sending him here, or how he could best continue to fight against the darkness. I don't know what to make of this place and its people. Jadar's idle thoughts were halted by Jahorse's comment. Only now did he see just how fascinated Jahorse was by the villagers. Not only were they sapient equines like him, but they had presumably lived their whole lives with full awareness of who they were. He reached over and rested his hand atop Jahorse's mane. I see people unlike any I had seen before, and I see them living lives not entirely unfamiliar. I think wherever we are, we will find friends, and perhaps with friends we can continue Surael's great work. The two sat in comforting silence for a time before they heard a sharp cry from a ruined structure. Jadar stood up to get a better look, and then he saw some villagers helping a zebra foal with a nasty gash on her torso. He reached into his pouch and verified that he still had some medicinal herbs, then approached the injured zebra. The villagers tentatively let Jadar approach the foal, who proceeded to examine the gash. However, just as he touched the foal, he felt a strange power emanating from himself, the same he had sensed earlier. It flowed from his hand into the foal, whose wound would close before his very eyes. Jadar stared, wide-eyed, and examined his hand. Had he just used magic? And healing magic at that. He was no mage, and even then, that kind of magic was supposed to be impossible. There were no doubt in his mind now. Surael had sent him here and blessed him with great power to save this realm from the malevolent dark. It's a miracle, the villagers whispered as they crowded around him. The foal stood and bowed, thanking him for using his divine power to heal her. Jadar reached out his hand and lifted the foal's face back up to meet her eyes. I am no god. He stood and looked at the crowd, who were still stunned by his healing abilities. I am simply a messenger of Surael. After a brief moment, Lightbringer spoke up. Who is Surael? Jadar felt pride as he began to teach his new flock. He is the god of the sun. He is our defender against the malevolent dark. He has granted me the power to spread his message to all, for all can be a part of the light of Surael. The villagers sat transfixed as Jadar preached, we are becoming a prophet. We are literally, this is not just a herald. We are becoming a prophet in a strange new land. This is insane. Before, we had a space age time flux whatever, where a cat gets sent from outer space here, and now we get a fantasy divine herald that gets sent into the land now. Oh dear God. I am Jadar Jizixir. I wondered why I was brought to this world of speaking zebras and ponies, but I am no idle soul or a fruitless thinker. It is the will of Surael that I have come. It is his will that I am given the magic and this world to wield. It is for the light that I must now bring the truth to the inhabitants of this world. It is also time that I prepare them for the war against the malevolent dark. With friends like these, Walnut Drive had many friends. His drinking buddies, oh my god, we're bringing back Walnut Drive. He had many friends, his drinking buddies, his military buddies. Even Alicia and Bargazin weren't that bad most of the time. However, one thing that all of his friends had in common was that they were equine, like him. Not that being a pony or zebra was a bad thing, but lately, Walnut had been on the lookout for more exotic individuals to add to his circle of pals. That meant when one of his subordinates informed him of a tall weirdo performing miracles in a nearby village, he knew what he had to do. Gather a small entourage and set off to meet this exotic fellow. Upon Walnut's arrival in the village, the first thing he noticed was the crowd. Comprised mostly of zebras, it was hard to tell exactly how many were present, but the one they were gathered around was impossible to miss. A tall, bipedal creature who spoke with a commanding voice. He heard some phrases like sun god and light, which meant that he was likely the religious sort. No biggie, Walnut thought, as long as he didn't worship Nightmare Moon. This whole being spotted Walnut's group and stopped his sermon. "Greetings," he said loudly, causing the crowd to turn its head to Walnut. "Have you come to hear the truth of Sorel's light and our mission to aid him in his war against the malevolent dark?" It was then that Walnut noticed another individual standing beside the creature. A very, very large horse, much larger than any he'd ever seen before, and he'd met a saddle Arabian. The horse was clad in barding and armor unlike any Walnut had ever seen, was that a saddle on his back? Walnut shook his head before he got further lost in tangential thoughts. War against the dark? Buddy, I've been fighting the darkness for years now. Walnut laughed. "Can I ask your name?" "I am Jadar Jezixir, the chosen herald of Sorel, the sun god." Jadar then gestured to his horse. "And this is my faithful companion, Jahorse, 64th of his name." Walnut began to approach the pair. He noticed Jahorse lock eyes with him, so he smiled and waved a hoof. After a moment, Jahorse waved back, though he did so with a strange stiffness in his gesture, like he was unused to moving his hoof like that. Walnut turned his gaze back to Jadar. Cool. So, Jadar, can I call you Chad? I know some real nasty folks who practically worship the darkness. They've been causing me the whole lot of innocent people trouble. Want to help me take them down? If what you say is true, then I shall gladly march with you. I can see by how your soldiers look at you that you are a respected military commander. May I have your name as well? He reached a hoof out. Name's Walnut Drive. Always a pleasure to make new friends. Oh my god, we're making friends, buddies. The gun runner's unease. Peashooter sat in his office. Again, I told you, there's going to be a lot of text. Absorbing the information on his desk. There was an ever-increasing number of reports of a new god appearing in the desert, though some conflicting accounts described the being as a prophet or a messenger instead. To P, the difference mattered little. He needed to keep this nuisance in check, otherwise a rampantly growing religious fervor might spell an early end to his operations. He examined a blurry photo of the creature in question. It looked almost like a minotaur, though instead of horns it had pointed ears. Despite it being relatively mundane in appearance, P felt uneasy looking at the thing. He scoffed, then threw it in the trash. No matter. Walnut may be missing, but the other warlords were still around and easily coercible. He'd send Alicia and Bargazan to take care of the creature, and then he could return to business as usual. Although, P glanced at the reports again. Nearly every settlement that this creature visited ended up joining its movement. When it arrived in Tabuk, there was a strong chance that he picked up his phone. He needed to offload as much money as possible into offshore accounts just in case his tenure in Tabuk was suddenly cut short by a religious zealot taking over the city. There was no doubt in his mind. Any sort of religious fellow would not look kindly upon the innumerable shady dealings that he had taken to establish his money laundering scheme. Perhaps Peashooter might return home sooner than expected, which in turn, of course, is going to crash a bunch of my economy and everything. Great. With even more friends like these. Tell me, Walnut, Jadar asked as he and his growing following were heading into another nearby settlement. This Kerptera, they serve a god of darkness and nightmares, correct? Yeah, the evil guys next to us. Nightmare Moon. Yep, let me tell you, every rumor you hear about them is true. In fact, I used to live there, but I never liked them, so I ditched them and made their army look like buffoons. They sure like holding grudges, though, so now they want me and all my friends dead. Then they shall serve as our first test, Jadar stated, with no doubt in his mind about the outcome of this inevitable conflict. He glanced behind them. Sorel's blessing had gifted him with a new flock, and he had no intention of squandering this opportunity. He would unite this land and prepare them to face the malevolent dark. And after that, his thoughts drifted to his wife and daughter. If this place truly was another world, then he needed to find a way to return to them. Walnut's voice pierced his idle musings. Hey, I see a group up ahead. Both of them squinted their eyes as they saw an equally sized group to theirs approaching them in the distance. After a moment, Walnut perked up and grinned. Oh, hey, it's my buds. He jumped up and waved in the air. Alicia, Bargazan, over here. Soon, the two gatherings converged. There was some brief unease as Jadar observed the opposing group moving like a military force. His unease turned to confusion as he could not spot their weapons. They had no swords, no archers, just long sticks with the occasional short blade attached to the literally guns with bayonets. Furthermore, their strange boxy carriages seemed to be pulling themselves. So, cars. As he was processing that, Walnut wasted no time hopping over to speak to them. They were mostly zebras and ponies, as Walnut had informed him earlier. Apparently, horses were a distinctly different race. He would have to find one to compare Jahorse to later. The two individuals that Walnut was speaking to kept stealing curious glances at him. After a few minutes, all three of them turned to approach Jadar. Walnut put a hoof behind his head. So, Alicia and Bargazan were sent to here, kill you, but they think Peashooter, that's our boss, is lying to them about you being a threat. I said that you're going to help me put a stop to all the bad things happening around here, and they want some proof that you're actually a nice guy and capable and all that. Mind helping me out here? Jadar nodded as he descended from Jahorse. His friend needed his help, so he convinced them of his divine powers by showing them the light of Sorel in his hands. Beautiful. United in purpose. Truthfully, Lightbringer did not imagine herself becoming a motivational speaker and impromptu second in command for a religious movement. Okay, so Lightbringer is now our second. Got it. She was more the sort to rile up others about lousy fiction, but she supposed that appealing to the emotions and desires of her fans could easily translate it into what she now found herself doing, which in this case was settling an argument between a civilian and one of Barghazen's mercenaries. The two of them had been in it for some time, with the civilian claiming that Jadar would finally save their homeland from corruption, while the mercenary insisted that Jadar was merely assisting Barghazen in becoming lord over his rightful domain. Lightbringer soon settled this debacle by explaining that the two goals were not mutually exclusive from one another. After all, Jadar had said that there was a place for all under the light of Serail, though the Lightbringer did have to clarify that she was not the light of Serail, as some had misconstrued by her name. Because Lightbringer, I get it. Lightbringer turned her gaze forward, looking past the marching columns of followers that had accumulated so quickly in such a short time. Leading them was, of course, Jadar, who stared into the distant city of Tabuk with determination. Their next mission was to free that city from the false promises made by its fake president. Spirits were high, and all present could tell that once they secured the capital of this republic, great changes would occur in Tabuk, and perhaps Zebrica as a whole. And yet what those changes be? Oh my god! I get 18 units? What? Hold on. I get 18 free units, all of which are what are followers? Oh my lord. Okay, so I can't edit these things. Or no, I guess it's a special template here. But okay, wow. That's fascinating. The president's due. The seizure of Tabuk turned out to be anticlimactic. Jadar's forces were prepared to fight, yet little resistance was given to them. In fact, the city's residents seemed almost glad to see them. The capital was the only place that had guards willing to fight, but in a masterful display of negotiations, Jadar would convince them to surrender rather than give up their lives for a president who did not value theirs. Said president was missing from the capital, however. Jadar was about to organize a manhunt, but then inadvertently stumbled upon the stallion attempting to slip by his forces with a hooded cloak. Said stallion was quickly apprehended and stripped of his disguise. I assure you, I was not trying to run, Peashooter lied through his teeth. I often discreetly visit the marketplace to gauge how the common pony is handling my economic changes. Jadar dismounted from Jahorse, then knelt before the increasingly nervous-looking president. Peashooter, you are a talented leader, in a sense. You know how to get others to do your bidding. You know just what to say and what to do to obtain the outcome you want. Jadar paused, then looked at his surroundings. All who had accompanied him seemed eager to see what he would do with the one who had attempted to have him killed. And yet you showed dishonesty before me, before Serail. Why? Peashooter forced his best presidential smile and doubled down. I have never been dishonest with anyone. I have always had the best interest of Tabuk and her citizens in my heart. Jadar was disappointed. This kind of creature was often incapable of banishing the darkness from their heart. Normally, he would issue his standard ultimatum of join me or be banished to such a creature, but his time he had spent with his new friends had given him another idea. He reached his hand forward and rested atop P's shoulders. Then you shall practice what you preach. You shall serve as my statesman and manage the ongoings of my empire while I spread the light of Serail throughout this realm. I entrust this sacred task to you, and you shall be guarded to ensure your safety, as I suspect many will act against us. A brief expression of horror dawned on Peashooter's face as he realized that he would not be returning to his wife and kids anytime soon. Jadar paid this no mind and stood up to the cheers of his flock. This was a momentous accomplishment, but more trials remained. The light of Serail will save Zebrica, which... Okay, remove warlord reliance, that's nice, and we just get a bunch of political advisors and a new leader. Hilarious. Wow. Mussolini becomes... Wait, not Biccolini? Mussolini. No, what? Among the Italian... What? Why is the Kingdom of Italy here? What? Why? What? Is this an error in the mod? Was this not supposed to happen? Did they screw up? I don't know if they screwed up or if this is actually intentional, that they accidentally put Italy in the mod when it's supposed to be Biccolini. Either way, we get our own brand new focus tree with a lot of stuff in here. Oh my god, that's powerful effects for industry. Work is duty. Okay, this is building up everything for the economy, it looks like, and getting just a ton of resources. Oh dear god. Okay, that's nice. This is our political side, building an empire, getting a divine bureaucracy. Oh my god, these are powerful effects. Whoa. All right, that looks amazing. What do we have over here? A new wave. Okay, and this is our military side. That is the military. This is the big thing for politics. I suppose that means the first thing that we're going to need to do is build an empire to get our political power going. And then afterwards, we're going to need to build up our industry a little bit. All right, let's do it. To build an empire, I set out to fight against the malevolent dark upon the soil of Bulwar. Now I commit to the same fight upon the soil of Zebrica. No creature has defeated me, nor have they defeated those who follow me. The light is with us, and now I must consolidate what we have won. I must call on those who listen to the truth of Sorel's divinity, which gives me just a ton of power for about a year. Next step in here is to create a divine bureaucracy, because before Sorel determined that I come here, a faithless republic based on greed stood here. Now it stands no more, and I have brought the light to its former citizens. For the Empire to stand without the malevolent darkness undermining it, I must prepare for the war that must be fought. The light shall cleanse this place and make it new before the world. Okay, that's gonna fix things, which is pretty nice for us. And then after that, we establish a cult of the sun in order to praise the sun god, I guess, which is going to increase our stability, our weekly war support, our weekly stability. And oh my god, hold on, weekly war support? Oh my god, you get so many bonuses from this. We are quite literally going to create religious zealots. Okay, after establishing a cult of the sun, and which is going to drastically improve all of my support as time goes on, the next step immediately after that, oh my god, able advisors, which is going to allow my horse, Jahorse the 64th, to become a chief of the army, which gives division attack plus 15% and plus, oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah. Sorel does not struggle alone, just as we must not struggle alone. It is the duty of all who believe in him to do their best. Together with Jahorse, Peashooter shall take charge of finances and the bureaucracy. Former warlords who accept the truths of the light shall be commanded soldiers again. We shall also reach out to Vasil, for he holds many factories that will aid our cause. We are literally taking all those corrupt individuals from the base Tabuk tree, which normally you have to kill off the majority of them, and instead they will actually become your greatest advisors and friends as they all are swept up in religious fervor. Amazing. Yep, that gives me army experience. Oh my god. It's incredible. And Peashooter, oh god, minus 10% cost for infantry production, less cost for support equipment, more factory. Oh, that is so powerful. What? These are really good bonuses, but at this point, I don't think I need as much of this stuff. I mean, yeah, I'm going to need the holy texts, and then, let's see, what else could I get? Oh, no. We're going to need research slot. Yeah, we have to get to this one first before I do anything on the industrial side. We have a holy cause. Our cause is blessed and fortified. Our struggle against the malevolent darkness is holy, and it must be one adopted fully by our state. Every soul who lives must do their part. Nothing will stop us, just as nothing will extinguish the light. We must make our bodies strong and our faith reinforced. To arms for Sorel and his light, which enables a tactic berserker charge. Oh my god, with last stand and force attack, command abilities at a greatly reduced cost. They also will no longer reduce war support on being damaged. So I can create religious zealots and just send them to their death. Add against the malevolent darkness, which grants reinforcement rate plus 15%? What? I get a 8 attack skill general? Oh my god. This is amazing. I love it. But in order to do this, I need an actual industry to support things. Modern mercantile knowledge. Mercantilism and trade have always been a constant, but the way trade works here seems different. Still, it seems to work, and the locals are more informed than I. Yeah, because you come from a fantasy world where there's no, major factories. Golden Highway unlocks decisions to construct railway lines and supply hubs across the empire. That's nice, but I can't do any of this here because I don't think I control a lot of the stuff that I need. Yeah, Colvage, all this. I haven't taken any of this territory, so it's not actually going to give me anything. Instead, work is duty. The herald's teaching is to impress upon all of us to do their duty and part in life. For many, it is to get up, go to work, and do their best, no matter how minuscule or irrelevant it may seem. Which, yeah, these are again some really strong effects. The escape. What? It had been some time since Peashooter was put on what was essentially house arrest. Jadara's followers didn't call it that, but P knew what his new job for this theocratic state had an unwritten stipulation of him not being allowed to leave. The numerous guards present around his estate were proof enough of that. However, P was a crafty stallion. His sweet Mayflower was waiting for him at home, and though he'd secured barely enough funds in offshore accounts to pay off his family's debt, he knew that the money was useless unless he was back in Equestria to withdraw it. Thus, P found himself waiting on the balcony of his residence in the dead of night for his ticket out of here. He'd managed to scrape together enough money to bribe the delivery pony of a local hay burger joint to make a detour to his house. So with any luck, P's eyes darted to what he saw moving in the alleyway. There, a pony pulling a hay cart. He patiently waited until the cart was just underneath the balcony and then dropped down into the moving pile of hay. He winced as he hit the pile. It wasn't the softest landing ever, but step one was complete. Now all he needed to do was to make his way to port and... Mr. Shooter, are you okay? A loud voice called from nearby. Horse apples. P turned to see one of his guards running towards him. He mentally kicked himself. He knew the plan was a long shot, but he should have realized that the cart was the only interesting thing to look at. Of course, the guards would be watching it. The guards reached P and then helped him down from the cart. You shouldn't lean over your balcony like that, Mr. Shooter. It's dangerous. You're very lucky that the hay cart was there to catch your fall. P forced a smile. Yeah, my mistake. You're not leaving to buck this time, P. Okay, got it. The slaver. Oh, no, Kira. See, the darkness. The darkness is coming. We have to stop it. Quick, adopt steam engine technology. Let the faithful rejoice. Our civilian economy is beginning to boom. The health of our empire's finances seems much better now than ever before. Let us thank Serail, for we're grateful for his generous blessings that we now see the greatest prosperity this land shall see for the first time. Wonderful. And we go and fight against Chiroptera. Beautiful. Defeat the raiders. That's exactly what we need. Imperial Corporation. This gives me 3 synthetic refineries from the very get-go. Are you kidding me? In order to fill the specialized requirements that most regular industries cannot meet, special state companies are to be established. Bro, how much are we going to get? Industrial innovations. This gives me 3 years ahead of time. For production, industry, and construction. This is so broken. This is so broken. I swear to God. The second escape attempt. Where is it? Peashooter muttered to himself as his guards escorted him to his workplace. Over the past few months during his trips to and from work, he had spotted a crevice between 2 buildings that looked like a promising avenue to get away from his entourage. He had spent an inordinate amount of time memorizing the layout of the streets beyond the crevice to maximize the distance he could put between himself and his guards once they realized he was missing. Fortunately, the guards did not see his earlier leap from the balcony as an escape attempt, or they would be paying closer attention to him. Additionally, P had built a rapport with some of them, which meant that he had convinced them to allow him to walk to work rather than ride into the back seat of a former presidential car. A breath of fresh air is good for the body, as he put it. Through the streets, they walked, with a few civilians casting curious glances at the armed escort surrounding the lanky earth pony. P's eyes locked on an upcoming bar adorned with a red logo. There. The crevice was fast approaching. He withdrew a glass bottle from his coat in preparation. Once he was next to the crevice, he dropped the bottle and kicked it to his left, and it shattered on the pavement of the road. As the heads of his guards turned to look, he darted to the right of the crevice. Although he knew better than to look back, he couldn't resist the idea of seeing the look of confusion on his guards' faces as they realized that, "Ow!" yelped a voice as P tumbled into a young foal. "What was that?" said a guard. Peashooter's eyes went wide as he looked all ahead past the foal who was blocking his way. There simply wasn't enough time to shove past them and escape before the guards. Sir? I'm lost. Can you help me find my mom?" asked the foal. P gritted his teeth. He didn't have time for this. "Mr. Shooter!" One of the guards peered into the crevice and saw P reaching for the foal. The guard beckoned his fellows to join him and then followed after P. "How kind of you, Mr. Shooter. That foal was lost and you went out of your way to help her. We shall make a detour to return her to her family." God damn it. Okay. Horse apples. Is this going to end with him like dying or something? Either way, doesn't matter. Another research slot. Yeah, let's get that going. This is insanely powerful from the very get-go. Like, holy crap, these bonuses. Plant versus zombie. The car engine slowly ceased its hum as the official stepped out, tired and irritated from the last irritatingly small problem being sorted. What have we been called for? Our time is precious, and we have hardly time for any minor issues. I'm telling you, my plants have become weird. They even speak and have gotten faces, I guess. What? The farmer replied, looking towards a small vegetable garden. For sunflower, one of them began singing. Sorcery, the official blurted out. Unnatural sciences. Their gazes turned towards the plants and 2 others standing beside the sunflower, resembling a pea plant and a walt, joining her singing. There's a zombie on your lawn. We don't want zombies on your lawn. Stop. What is the meaning of this trickery? The official shouted. We need food and water, not whatever this is. We want to fight, the greener plant shouted, spitting an absurdly oversized pea at a nearby plank, splitting it clean in half. Undead and decay are growing, and we have grown to fight them. They almost, wait, what? Why? General Walnut, General Sunflower, and General Peach. What is this even? Oh my God. Bro, I don't even know. I don't know anymore. I really don't. Dear God, I'm already able to get to the year 1010 tech, like 2 years ahead of time because of this. This is insane. Next step after that, I guess, is to establish a steel foundry, because you know I'm going to need that, and then get myself some military factories so I can actually do things. After that, I get a sick nut, and then we probably go on a warpath, I guess. Again, really? Go and start to do things then. And by do things, I mean burn everything to the ground. To do so, though, we are going to need more weapons, a new way of war. I do not know the way of war that the ponies and zebras know. I know that they must learn it, or that I must learn it, or fail in fulfilling the holy task entrusted to me by Serail. While their weapons and tactics all seem strange, that shall not discourage me. The light shall guide me in learning what I must do, that I may not know defeat in the war against the dark. Sure. A modern curiosity. One of the many things that Tabuk was famous for was its former status as a weapons depot for the late Storm King. Guns of many kinds were prevalent throughout the city, and as guns were the most common tool of war nowadays. I was told there would be weapons here, and yet I do not see any blades nor bows. A very nervous pair of unicorns glanced at each other as Jadar examined the firing range they were in charge of. Well, Mr. Herald, sir, we stopped using those a long time ago. Then what are these? Jadar curiously picked up a long stick with pieces of metal blended into it. He spotted a hole at the end, then put his finger inside to ascertain its depth. No, don't do that! It's just like a gun. This is the equivalent of just pointing a gun at yourself. What does this do? She magically snatched the rifle away from Jadar. She sighed in relief and explained, "This is a Garcano Oxar Model 989, breech-loaded, designed in Colthage. It's a bit old, but like all firearms, it's very dangerous if handled improperly." Jadar did not see how such a thing could be dangerous, but he nevertheless respectfully set it down. "I've never seen such a device before. Would you care to spar? I wish to learn how it works." "You can't spar with guns," the other unicorn said. "You said something about bows? Imagine if bows could shoot tiny metal pellets at such high speeds and range that almost no body armor could protect from them, and that you don't need years of training or even much physical strength to use them, and that they're cheap to produce. Nobody would use bows anymore." Jadar frowned as he absorbed their words. He was a master bowman, and now he was being told that his favorite weapon was obsolete. Still, Surreal's work must be done, so he needed to learn how these new weapons worked. "Very well. Would you mind teaching me about these guns and how they are used in battle?" Which increases all of his stats. All right, that's actually pretty cool. I realize this now here. I actually have field marshal abilities. So Jadar is a field marshal, but naturally his abilities as general kind of suck because he has no concept of the modern technology. But Jahorse is actually pretty solid. The big question is now, do I continue to actually boost my abilities, which, oh my god, that is so nice. Infantry, attack, defense, and movement plus 10% in the desert. I do want this. We can get bonuses for the desert as well as more factories, and then immediately afterwards, we can go and attack Zarantia. There we go. Once again, raiders are defeated. Perfect for me, thank you. And with Lessons of the Desert, next up after that, we get the Lightbringers to, basically establish a cult. The malevolent darkness acts against us all, always and forever. To prevail against it, I now need the light of those among us, especially the most devoted and most talented. I shall invite them to form an order, one dedicated to bringing the light to those who will listen and against those who will oppose us. Which, yep, Lightbringer. Actually, we get that. That's actually really nice here for more growth of compliance and less garrison required. And operative slots. Oh, that's actually really good. The third escape attempt. The attempt would be successful. Peashooter was sure of it. He'd meticulously double-checked every step of his plan. No corners were left unturned. He had been away from his family for far longer than he'd initially planned, and the money he had secured still rotted in an unreachable account. Who knows what sacrifices his beloved Mayflower might be needed in order to avoid their crippling debt. Now, having gone through the steps one final time, he put his plan into action. He started by suggesting that he and his guards have lunch at a restaurant by the dock to enjoy one another's company. They truly believed that P was their friend, and so they agreed wholeheartedly. P had selected one with a bathroom tucked away from the dining area, and even timed the visit on the same day the business was receiving a delivery from overseas. Once they ordered their food, P waited until he heard the prolonged blast of a ship's horn from outside. It was the signal that the boat was about to leave, so he excused himself from the table to go to the bathroom. Once he turned the corner and was out of sight, he diverted to the employees-only area, ignoring those who told him that he wasn't allowed there. P rushed out of the kitchen back door, then galloped as fast as he could towards the ship. He spotted a stallion waiting there, who nodded at him. P had already paid off this cargo vessel to grant him passage to Puerto Cabello. Once there, he would catch another boat to Equestria, and then finally return home. P got on the ship, then immediately headed to the lower deck. He allowed himself to relax next to a barrel of goods once the boat was a fair distance from port. He sighed in relief, then looked out the porthole. To his dismay, he saw a military vessel intercepting the boat he was on. Why were they closing in on this specific ship? Dozens of boats left and arrived to Buck every day. He got up and then looked to the barrel he was leaning against. His heart sank when he saw dozens of guns haphazardly stored inside what he believed to be food storage. He felt the boat drop anchor as his military vessel reached his. They would be boarding soon, so P sat back down and resigned himself to his fate. "Mr. Shooter, how proactive of you. We had no idea this vessel was smuggling weapons, but you spotted them before anything else." P's ever-cheerful guard helped him from the ship. "We saw you sprinting onto the boat from the restaurant window, so we knew that you must have had a good reason for chasing after it. Now we see these illegal weapons, we know why. Thank you for leading us right to these smugglers, Mr. Shooter." P didn't even try to force a smile this time. Yes, of course. God dang it. God dang it. With that, my friends, we launch our strike against Zarantia. Time is against us. We cannot just rely on our fellow faithful to spread the word of Serail. The malevolent darkness moves fast, but we shall move faster. Let us call the legions and go deep, deep into Zarantia, and bring Imazib into the fold of the light. Yes, we will do that, and then we will preach to Zarantia, which applies conversion here. All right, so we're going to convert them to the word of our God, and then what's fascinating is if you go and click on a state, there's levels of conversion apparently amongst the populace. Which is crazy, but I guess maybe that's like compliance? Yeah, we just straight up blitz right through everything. All right. Yep, with that, Zarantia very quickly falls. We go ahead and take all their stuff. Yoink, thank you very much. Goodbye to you. And thus, Zarantia welcomes the light. Rejoice, O faithful. Rejoice, for the Imazib have listened to the truths of our faith. Let us welcome them just as they welcome the light of Serail. We will not waste this moment to celebrate their union with us, nor shall we forget to be hospitable to their wise elders, their strong warriors, and their venerated Umaliz. Yeah, that's gonna help us a lot. Next up after that, Faithful Dunes. The gentle caress of the sun has laid claim to the desert of the Imazib, and those who once muttered against his warmth now turn inward. Defections and those seeking to march under the herald's banner to rise daily, which gives me more civilian and military factories and more compliance. Beautiful. That means I can actually core all that, which means population. Wait, Caraptera, are you really justifying against me right now? Why would you do such a thing? Really? Especially when I can get Zapara's finest warriors. Many former hardened warriors of the Imazib have pledged their fealty and lives in the service of our cause. It would be folly to ignore the bravery of these hardy souls, which gives me 635 with Imazib warrior divisions with 13 infantry and 3 artillery. Oh my god. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Next step, naturally, indoctrinate more people. Why not? The slave, really, again? Yeah, that's not gonna work there, buddy. The looming really? Concerning news has reached this administration. Border scouts begin reporting less than savory encounters with what we must assume are forward elements of a larger army. Others have simply not returned to report at all. It's the Curipterans. They're planning to invade us with an unknown objective. Yeah, it's to wipe us out. The nightmare must be eradicated. Because, hey, we are the herald of Serail. So much work has been done, and so much of it has been blessed with a great success. Let this be proof to all that the reign of Jadar is rightful. Behold, O faithful, the chosen of the light, the prophet of the sun, the herald of Serail. This is actually really cool. I love the religious fervor and everything that is happening, even as Peashooter is just continuously trying to escape. The fourth escape attempt. Peashooter was at his wit's end. He tried almost everything short of outright murder. Bribes, distractions, even fleeing in broad daylight, but each time he was caught and brought back to his estate. Whether it was a miracle or a cruel twist of fate that his guards didn't think he was trying to escape, he didn't know. All he did know was that his family needed him, and he needed them. His anxiety had gotten to such a severe point that when his faithful guard opened his bedroom door to let him know it was time for work, he broke down and resorted to a tactic he would have once sworn was beneath him: begging. Listen, please, I need to go home. My wife, my children, they need their father. I've been away for too long. I don't want to miss my children growing up more than I already have. The guard put a hoof to her mouth in shock. I had no idea, Mr. Shooter. Is your family still in Equestria? P didn't even care enough to answer how his guard knew that. Yes, he pleaded. Please, I need to see my family again. Can you help me? To his absolute surprise, the guard offered a tender smile and nodded. Okay, all right, I'll help, but it'll take a bit of time, all right? A week later, P's guard discreetly brought him to the port at the break of dawn. She instructed him to wait for the next boat. He thanked her again, then patiently watched the sunrise while she walked away. However, just as the boat arrived, P heard the all too familiar voice behind him. Peashooter, you look unwell. Tell me, what is the matter? Of course it was Jadar. P stared straight at the boat as Jadar sat next to him. I miss my family. I don't want them to think that I've abandoned them. P sounded utterly defeated. But you don't understand, do you? You would rather I serve your precious sun god than spend time with what's really important. Jadar reached a hand to put it on P's shoulder. I do understand, P. I understand more than anyone how difficult it is to be separated from one's family. He pointed at the ship's gangway. P's heart leapt to his throat as he saw his wife and kids getting off the boat. When your guard told me of your plight, I had them transported here. I did this for you as I would for all who serve the light. Even if they don't believe in it or understand why, all I ask is that you continue to serve as my statesman. For the first time in years, Peashooter smiled. Okay, wow. He gets some really powerful bonuses. Dear God. Oh, hey, look, Caraptera. This is not going to be an easy of an attack as you thought it was going to be there, buddy. Now, in fact, at this point, I could probably just throw myself at you, and yeah, that's not going to work. Quick, push through the south. We are breaking through on all sides. I do not care of how many followers I have to throw at the enemy. I will send all of them. Oh my god. Are you kidding? I get bonuses like Jahorse attack, duration 7 days, cooldown 20 days. Gives me 50% offensive bonuses? What? What? This is so broken. This is so incredibly broken. Like, what do I even do at this point with how badly broken that is? Oh my god, wait. So after feeding an empire, which reduces my unit upkeep, which I'm guessing is like supply, probably, I can either cultivate luxuries, which increases factories, or let none go hungry, which further increases monthly population and also unit upkeep and supply fish. Oh my god. Yes. We will not let the people starve. They will serve the sun god willingly. Come on, I just need to... There we go. Finally broke through, which helps with my supply lines. I've lost how many men at this point? 34,000? Yeah, you know, it's worth it. Screw it. Go. Go, my pretties. Push through. There's the fall of the capital, and with that, boom, we actually got another thing for another scientist. Awesome. And there, my friends, is the fall of Kyocera. They are over, they are done, we seize their entire navy, and the first step of darkness is completely conquered. Absolutely beautiful. The light of the sun is not without mercy, for in his wisdom shall the gift of redemption be offered to the chittering, writhing spawn of the night lurkers. Even they may serve, if they are suitably repentant. Oh my god. All creatures can be the light. Is this really all who are willing to listen? Jadar asked Lightbringer as he looked over the group of roughly 20 Kyocera legionnaires who had agreed to hear what he had to say. Out of the untold thousands of Kyocera soldiers, this is everyone who is willing to accept Suriel's light. Yeah, this is it, Lightbringer sighed, then pointed at one officer in particular. That guy's important, though. Some officer, I think. Jadar turned his attention to the indicated stallion. He knelt to meet him at eye level, then offered his hand. I am Jadar Jezixir. May I have your name? Stallion seemed apprehensive, but placed his hoof in Jadar's hand for an awkward shake. Carrot stick. Tell me, Carrot. Jadar placed his other hand over the stallion's hoof. Why are so many of your soldiers afraid of accepting Suriel's light? They're not my soldiers. They were. More of them would be here. Carrot stared transfixed at Jadar's fingers. They're afraid because they think you'll do to them the same that they want to do to the Sunnies. That you'll just kill them. That comment stirred apprehension in Jadar. It is true that there is no place in the light for other faiths, and he did indeed plan on purging those who refuse to abandon the darkness from their hearts. But if I can show them that Suriel will accept all creatures of all heritages, so long as they at least try to repent, then would more of them be willing to, or then would more of them join? Carrot Stick sighed. You'd have to be one heck of a preacher to do that, but maybe. Most will never renounce Nightmare Moon, but maybe some would, if given time. Jadar nodded. Then time I shall spend with them. He shook Carrot's hoof one more time, then stood up. He was not entirely sure why he was being far more lenient with this radical culture than many hard-hearted creatures he had encountered in the past. Perhaps his new friends were rubbing off on him. Even if it takes years, we shall help them be in the light. Ah, yeah, now we got Carrot Stick. Is that a guy I have here? Diplomatic genius. All right, don't worry, we're going to break their chains. At least with that, we can finally celebrate the victory. Our victory is cause for all to celebrate. Let us not be afraid to rejoice in this, for many more shall come. Surely our prophet Jadar will bring us through the struggle in the name of light. Soon enough, he will tell us all he has planned after this joyous victory, which means more stability and, more integration. Beautiful. Of faith and family. The defeat of Kyocera marked a great victory for the Jad Empire. A festival was organized with the help of the Imazib of Zarantia, and even though the culture was very different from that of the Sun Elves, Jadar found much to appreciate about their way of life. Their ritualistic dances were reminiscent of Deodarin minus the fire. As the celebrations died down, Jadar sat near one of the many tents that had been set up for the occasion. He stared at the sky as he had several times since his arrival, and though he knew better, he still vainly hoped that he might recognize a constellation. Jadar reached out his hand and summoned a small orb of light. He knew that Suriel had sent him here, and that he had blessed his prophet with divine power, yet there were still so many questions that Jadar had. Why was he to spread the faith here and not in his home? What happened to his desert legion after the battle against Zaka? And, Jadar's heart faltered, if but for a moment, his wife, Jacine, his son, and Drelian. Each of his other children crossed his mind. Alressa, Daria, Jarir, Ariatra, Jedressa. It was especially difficult to think about. The young harpy girl was so full of joy, but her lifespan was so short compared to his. He didn't want to miss her growing up. Would you mind if I join you? Jadar was brought out of his thoughts by his ever-faithful friend, Jahorse. He patted the ground next to him. You're always welcome at my side. Jahorse shuffled into a comfortable position. I've been wondering about what our purpose is here. I struggle with my thoughts sometimes. I know that Suriel is the one true God and that we are doing his work, but still I feel like I'm missing something. Jadar placed a reassuring hand on his friend's mane. He had seen many creatures have had these same doubts, and hearing them from Jahorse made him realize just what he needed to accomplish in this world. Suriel has given you something very special, and I think what you need is to find someone to share that with. He offered a small grin to his companion. I've seen some of the ways these ponies look at you. Go out and talk to some. Maybe you'll find a second guiding light. Oh my god. We're telling our horse to go get laid? What, me? Jahorse was possibly flustered. I don't know the first thing about courting, but if you insist, I'll give it a try. He stood back up and hide his nervousness and change his topic. But what about us? What does Sorrel want us to do here? We are to unite all of Zebrica under his light. All right. Yeah. I now get to basically attack each and every single thing around me, it seems. Yeah. First, we're going to bring the light to Maregypt, I guess. To the southwest of what was once Terra lies the region of Maregypt. It is the ancient land through which a great river flows. Though it is beautiful, it is one that has not yet seen or known the light. Let us bring the truths of our faith to it. The most difficult thing in the world. Oh my god, please don't tell me. Please don't tell me this is a whole thing for him getting laid. Jahorse had been pacing next to the front door of a nice-looking house for over 10 minutes now. He'd practiced the things he planned to say over and over through his mind, but each time he thought he had a good plan, he ended up deciding to change a word here or a phrase there, necessitating practicing it all from the top once again. To make matters more awkward, he had no idea what he was doing. He was an adult, but his memories before his arrival with Jadar were basic, to say the least. He just didn't have any useful experiences to draw upon to help him with what he wanted to do today, which, in this case, was asking the only mare he knew out on a date. Maybe I should go home and don't embarrass myself, he thought. After a minute passed, another round of nervous pacing, Jahorse sighed, then resigned himself to try some other time. However, just as he turned to leave, he heard the door open, revealing a concerned-looking Alicia Shiznaya in a bathrobe. God damn it. Why? Are you all right? Your hoofsteps are loud enough to wake the dead. Jahorse became acutely aware of just how much larger he was than her. Yes. Alicia raised an eyebrow. Then what are you doing here? Well, you see, do you want to go out on a date? That seemed to catch her off guard. What? He repeated himself in an equally blunt manner. A date? Like dinner or something? I don't know. I've never done this before. After a brief pause, Alicia's expression softened. I'm afraid I'm not looking for some pony right now, she chuckled. I don't know if I ever will be. Besides, I'm old enough to be your mother. Jahorse's face dropped. Oh, don't take it personally. I have baggage, shall we say, that you neither nor I are capable of dealing with. She reached up a hoof to lift his chin and just barely met it. You're handsome, I grant. There are many nice mares for you your age to talk to. Why don't you ask Roserain? After all, the chaos in her beloved city, I'm sure she would love to calm dinner with someone who wants to actually listen and learn. The first action is him getting rejected. Are you kidding me? Jahorse's first date? He does. He actually does it. Why are we doing a horse dating simulator? It had been some time since Jahorse had received advice from Alicia on whom he should ask on a date. He doesn't even actually he's just trying to go with whoever he can, it seems. He had to inquire about information on where to find Roserain, as he didn't know she existed before Alicia mentioned her. Nevertheless, he managed to track down Rose's address, and so next, of course, was... I really should have asked Alicia more about her, Jahorse muttered as he walked up the steps to a house he believed was Rose's. To his surprise, the door opened even before he reached it. You must be Jahorse, said the rather pretty pink mare leaning against her doorframe. Yes. Jahorse summoned what courage he could and put on his friendliest smile. Do you want to go out to dinner? The mare chuckled. At least ask my name first, silly. Jahorse mentally kicked himself, then tried not to stumble over his words. Yes, my bad. What's your name? And do you want to go out? Her chuckle spilled into a fit of giggles. Roserain. My friends told me you were awkward in person, but wow, this is something else. She walked out the door and shut it behind her. They also told me you were asking around for me specifically because you wanted to go out on a date. Normally, I'd tell a random stallion to stuff his face and get lost, but I've heard lots of great things about you, and seeing you here, well, you're kind of endearing. Now, does that mean? Rosa's smile was genuine. Yes, I'll try a date with you. And can I just say, wow, you're much bigger than I thought you'd be. Sorry. She lightly punched his leg. Hey, it's not a bad thing. Now, come on. I know this great Kyrian joint nearby, run by an actual Kyrian, too. Sure. Why not? There it is. Bring the light to Maregypt. Let's go, buddies. Just keep on pushing through. Lovely. Yeah. And there goes Maregypt. Awesome. So they're gone. Yoink, steal their navy, steal all this, and they're done. Beautiful. That seems reasonable. Okay, after bringing the light to Maregypt, oh my god, I can actually just fight every single thing possible down here. Okay, preaching to the Abyssinians. Look at this image of the cat. The region of Abyssinia is no stranger to struggle, yet it is one that once knew prosperity and greatness. However, now it's weak, a place for the Wingbardians to play with. Its inhabitants suffer, but no longer shall they endure it forever. We have come to them, and we shall not fail to bring them the comfort of light. Oh my god. Okay, wait, hold on. Can I... Are they at war with anything? No, they aren't. I could just straight up go over and attack them, like, right now. Sure, let's do it. Yep, let's just go and murder a bunch of cats while simultaneously going on a date, because why not? It's the second date. While Jahorse had proven to be an invaluable tactician for the cause, he was a novice regarding the various subcultures of Jadar's growing empire. Yes, they all served under Suriel's light, but the faith still respected the ways of its members, provided that those ways did not clash with the tenets of the Jad. One culture in particular had piqued Jahorse's curiosity, the Imazib of Zarantia. Jadar had mentioned that the desert zebras were similar in some ways to the Sun Elves, so Jahorse had decided to learn more about them to broaden his horizons. To that end, he found himself conversing with an elderly zebra matriarch named Mekuza in the depths of Imazib's homeland. So your daughter, Umalez, was it? She was the pretty mare that waved me outside, right? Mekuza eyed him up and down, and they waved her cane towards the tent's entrance. Yes, she can teach you the ways of the Imazib far better than I can. You like books? Jahorse nodded. Well, I haven't read many books, but I enjoyed the ones That settles it. My daughter keeps her head stuck in too many books for my liking. Maybe with you around, she will finally find something more interesting. Hold on, we're dating around. The taller stallion tilted his head in confusion. Okay, I just want to learn more about her culture. Because you had jabbed her cane at Jahorse's chest and poked with fiery conviction in her eyes. Quiet. You will talk to my daughter. You will show her the same kindness and courtesy you've shown me. You will make her happy. And if you break her heart, then I will break every limb in your body and have you buried up to the head in the desert for the injured to find. Is that clear? The elderly zebra's ferocity struck fear into Jahorse. Yes, ma'am, that's clear. What's in Idrimed? The tatzelworms, you dolt. You would know what it was if you'd spoken to her. What? All right, after Universal Message of Hope, we are the bulwark of light. Do not confuse it. The herald is an embodiment of the sun, the truest and most radiant beacon of shining hope in the dark. He has been granted blessings from above, which has been witnessed, and many miracles performed in Suriel's name. Which just, oh my god, that increases our HP by 50%. How many bonuses are we going to stack here? Yep, okay, there's the Kingdom of Abyssinia. That is completely wiped. We can seize everything, and yoink, done. Beautiful. Oh, I can demand that Italy go and leave the Abyssinian lands? Sure. They hand it over. Wonderful. Because next step is to bring the donkeys to light. Time and time again, we prevailed. Now we stand closer to the border of the lands possessed by the donkeys. Let us not pause too long, for the light cannot delay in fighting against the malevolent darkness. Suriel will bless us just as he will bless the donkeys. Sure. Why not? Yeah, that's a rapid order of conquest. Yep, they're gone. That was fast. Why don't I try this? Why don't we do this one here and just cleanse the south? We have come to the borders of this land. A good string of victories have blessed us. Jahorse be pleased to see more of his own kind here. I would fail him, my friend and trusted mount, if I could not welcome Saddle Arabia into the light. Let Suriel bless our efforts to bring the truths of the faith to them. All right, that declared war on... Wow, actually a lot of this down here. Okay. We're about to go on a bit of a conquering spree then. Yeah, that's just going to blitz right through here now. And oh my god, yeah, we get to control basically everything. Okay, that's lovely. And there goes the Saddle Arabians. Okay. Wow, that is a lot. That is actually a lot. And we're able to seize everything. Huh. Oh my god, the Solar Empire is going wild in here. Looks like Daybreaker has ascended to make everything hell. This is getting real stupid real fast. And there's the Central Zebrican Empire. Okay, that one is gone. Boom. Lovely stuff. I realize I haven't even been looking at here for what has been happening, but we've conquered so many things that are, yeah, we have over 3 million manpower here. And anything that I attack, I just can then integrate and actually make my core, because go figure, the religious zealots don't really care what's happening to you. You can just take over everything. Suriel guided artillery. Hold on. Plus 15% attack and defense. Dude, the bonuses. I swear. What is even the point of this? I just blitzed through all of the tribes of Zebrica, and they have no hope of actually standing up against me. This isn't even a conquest. It's a cleanse. And there we go. That should be the last of this. The Ugabi are seized. Beautiful. That's all the lakes. Yeah, that looks fantastic. What the hell is this? What is Castanor? Who the hell are you? Unholy fear. What? Oh my god. Whoa. Oh, hold up. This is the Lich. It's undead. It's evil. This is the great enemy. This is the great enemy that we've been training to fight against, isn't it? Oh my god, that is the Great War. So quick, the warzen in question. Already word of the Herald's arrival spread across the dunes. Word seems to travel far, even across these merciless plains. The warsmen seem inclined to accept Suriel's blessing, although their neighbors may prove to be more stubborn. Yeah, we gotta knock them out as fast as possible. There we go. They have gone and released Zumidia. They are done. Yep, just go ahead and declare war on Warzena and move to knock them out as fast as possible. After that, spread north. All that is good and merciful, all the blessing of the sun must be spread across the continent, then the globe. The northern shores must be secured and endowed with divine radiance. Damn right. There we go, there we go. Just charge through the gaps. Take out the Quagatai. Oh my god, no. No, no, my game did not just crash as I try to take out the zebras. No. Okay, there again is the fall of Coleridge, which I can't really do anything for. So I'm just gonna let them take everything. I'm gonna take their navy. Oh my god, no, it crashed again. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Am I not able to finish this? Okay, we're gonna have to console command this. Okay, all right. We just wanted to straight annex them. That's the only thing that we could do because, quite frankly, none of this shit actually worked. There we go, and there is Quagatai. They are done. Please don't crash, I'm begging you. Okay, all right. At least that one is okay now. Unfortunately, though, we are right here at the gates of Castanor, and I don't know what is going to happen with this. Okay, that is. Can I not? Wait, hold on. Spread north, so I can't. I can't attack these things. Well, that is certainly not what I expected here. All right. Does this mean that I actually have to go and declare war on Castanor now? Does that actually happen? Can I even do that? Can I do it? Whoa, Castan's Empire declared war on the Storm King. Okay, hold up. They're going attacking down south here. Oh my god, okay. Yeah, I was wondering how it is that they were recruiting enemy troops so fast. Apparently, I have to go here and just click on all the stuff to create, like, a faithful unit. I don't know what that even means, but we're going to spend all of our power in order to try and get this here. Yep, that's about the end of this here. I don't know how this is going to go. I can't do anything. I physically can't do anything. All right, what am I dealing with? They got a lot of stuff in here, and I have no idea how many divisions they actually have at this point. This is kind of ridiculous here, to be honest. Yeah, at this point there really isn't much else for me to do. I think I've built up basically everything that I possibly can. So now it's time for the final war. Let's go in 160 days. We're gonna cleanse the evil from it, whether they like it or not. I'm pretty sure there probably should have been an event that allowed me to declare war upon them after everything else was consolidated in Zebrica, but that hasn't happened yet. So it begins, my friends. The end, finally. Oh my god, I've been doing this forever. But you know what? It's over. The Jad Empire will cleanse the evil of Castanor. Supply efficiency plus... Oh my god, they get some stupidly big bonuses. Like, wow. Oh dear god. Burst through. Go. Fight and die. How are they this ghost wave? What do you mean? Plus, intelligent country advantage. Oh my god. Oh my god. How many bonuses do they get here? Holy crap. Go, my men. Surround them. Destroy them. Please. Okay, it's all right. I may take catastrophic losses, but as long as we can wipe these guys out, we will be okay. There we go. Okay, that is another force. Okay, that's group wiped out. How many men have I lost so far? 716,000. That's fine, but I wiped out millions. After all, what's a couple million losses between friends, you know? The faithful will never lose. We will cleanse the blight from this land even as oh my god, I am losing quite literally everything to attrition over here. Why? Oh, there's no connection. Of course. There we go. Sweep through. Take the settlement. Beautiful. We are actually breaking through everything, damn it. All right, come on. You will make it through. Am I burning through? I am burning through equipment, but it's okay. We have plenty more where that comes from, as well as faithful individuals to send to, I'm not going to say their doom per se, but you know, there we go. That is all of that seized. Excellent. Come on, wipe him out. Keep on moving in. Let's go. Oh, no, not this crap again. Come on. That is how it ends. It becomes a race to see who can get to each other's capital faster than, I guess. Which, in the end, the winner is ultimately us. The Jad Empire has defeated the Castan's Empire in an armed conflict. Herald of malevolent darkness. The march to Castanor Castle was anything but easy. The endless ranks of the dead seemed to blot out the very horizon itself, and each time one was cut down, its pieces got back up. Jadar himself was leading the charge, utilizing his divine gifts to annihilate swaths of undead. Thunderous artillery and roaring tanks pounded the monstrous legions as Jadar and his finest soldiers tore through the things, and soon enough they reached the sinister structure. Jadar rode atop Jahorse past the still open portcullis into the castle itself, disintegrating a skeletal soldier with a ray of light as he did so. Upon reaching the interior, the two paused as the undead seemed to be wary of following them inside. The reason for their wariness became apparent as Jahorse spotted a hunched-over figure pacing back and forth while muttering to himself. He narrowed his eyes and noticed to his surprise that the rotting creature was bipedal like him. A human, maybe. Or did it used to be one? Regardless, it reeked of undeath and evil, and so he prepared to smite it in Surreal's name like he had done so countless atrocities today. What? Who goes there? The lone figure turned its head to face Jahorse. It was wearing a torn mantle and tattered garments that suggested royalty, and a grimy crown adored its head. Its eyes were bloated and green, though that didn't stop it from staring accusingly at Jahorse. You dare set foot in my kingdom? A deceitful fae and the spawn of Agridos? I thought I had already rid the world of monsters like you. Its comments gave Jahorse pause. He had imagined that the champion of the malevolent dark would be more coherent. I'm Jahorse, the herald of Surreal. I've come to unite all under the light of Surreal, but I can see that you have turned those I wish to save into mindless ghouls. It furrowed what was left of its brow. You? Saved them? Nonsense! I, Castan the Second Beastbane, have saved countless men and women of Castanor from the bestial races that plague this land. Just look over there. It pointed to a writhing mass of reanimated flesh and limbs, which caused Jahorse to gag in disgust. Those poor children at the orphanage were about to be slain by centaurs before I rescued them. Jahorse scanned the frail-looking beastbane in front of him. He was clearly deranged, but he sensed it held great power comparable to his own. He steadied himself and whispered a warning to be careful to Jahorse, then drew his bow as he noticed his opponent's hand beginning to glow. It is time to end this insanity. Jahorse released a flurry of arrows into Beastbane as Jahorse dodged the magical bolts that fired at them. He knew that firearms were standard now, but he was far more proficient with a bow. 3 arrows hit Beastbane in the chest, staggering it, and Jahorse found Surreal's divine light in his hand to blast the undead king to oblivion. Upon being struck, Beastbane screamed in anger and raised its hand. A sickly green shield appeared around it, which deflected Jahorse's attack. Jahorse tried to prepare another magical strike, but the lich was surprisingly fast. Beastbane unleashed a torrent of necromantic rays flying in every direction that converged on Jahorse. Jahorse galloped behind a pillar in an attempt to lose the homing magic missiles, but Beastbane redirected them before they collided with it. Just before reaching the pair, Jahorse held his free hand out and summoned a magical shield of his own to deflect the blasts. Beastbane's power was far more potent than Jahorse prepared for, but it took every ounce of his strength to keep just his shield up. It did not help that he was not well practiced in magical duels, nor that his magic in his realm was unfamiliar with what he did now. More and more of Beastbane's attack pounded against Jahorse's shield, pushing him and Jahorse further and further into a corner. A few bolts slipped through and tore into Jahorse's shoulder and leg, causing him to have to strain even harder to keep the shield up. A memory flashed through his mind. Zaka was laughing at him as he crumbled from his injuries, much like how Beastbane was laughing now. He thought he would die that day, but Surreal saved him. A realization clicked through his mind. Surreal saved him because even in defeat, his faith never faltered. At that moment, the only thing he had prayed for was Surreal to protect his family. His faith had saved him. Now Jahorse felt that faith again. Not from himself, but from outside the castle walls, from his soldiers fighting the undead, from the countless workers and farmers toiling away, to the millions of simple ponies, zebras, deer, and more who truly believed in Surreal and his mission. Jahorse channeled the faith, and in a single decisive strike, he threw his other hand out and pierced Beastbane's shield with a beam of overwhelmingly bright light, striking the lich right in the heart. Beastbane collapsed to the ground, unmoving. Jahorse dismounted from Jahorse and limped closer to verify its death. When he was but a few paces away, the lich's eyes opened again. But instead of insane malice, they were filled with lucid regret. Thank you, the old king of Castanor uttered, before he disintegrated to dust. Immediately after, the castle walls began to shake, its stones became dislodged, and the ceiling started to crumble. To make matters worse, Jahorse felt like he was about to pass out from his wounds. As his eyes failed him, he uttered another prayer to Surreal to save Jahorse. A conversation with the divine. Oh my god, the sheer amount of story that goes into all of this. A conversation with the divine. Are you well? Jahorse bolted upright. He was no longer in Castanor Castle, but instead on a hill far away from the now collapsing structure. He felt his shoulder and leg, only to discover the wounds he had suffered were no longer there. Had Surreal saved him? Again? What about? He whipped his head around to look for Jahorse, and was realized to see him unconscious next to a... Jahorse rubbed his eyes and saw a white-winged unicorn, far more majestic than any that had ever graced his vision. She looked familiar somehow. Who are you? She offered him a gentle, though tired smile. I am Princess Celestia, and if my assumption is correct, you are Jahorse. Now Jahorse was doubly confused. He heard from a multitude of traders who hailed from Equestria, but she still looked familiar, as he had seen her before then. He rose from the ground and dusted himself. Are you a messenger of Surreal? Celestia thought on his question for a moment. Many believe I am Surreal reborn, but I am not, nor have I ever claimed to be. She approached him, then looked outward towards the crumbling castle. Whatever you did here, it was big. You used magic so powerful that it shone like a beacon across the cosmos. Perhaps reality itself. I felt this energy with my own power. I diverted some to open a portal here. Jahorse looked behind himself to see the very portal she described. It was glowing like a violent tear in reality, and beyond it, he could see what looked like his heart skipped a beat. Is that Askasur? Indeed, Celestia nodded. This portal leads to Halan, though it's unstable and will dissipate soon. It is how I got here, and if you act quickly, it is how you can return home. A million thoughts and questions raced through Jadar's mind, eventually settling on just two. What happened to my forces? To my family? Celestia's expression faltered, though she did her best to hide it. Truthfully, she did not feel prepared to tell him that everything had transpired in his absence. She looked away, then said, "The Empire prospers, and your son is waiting for you." Just then, the two of them heard a groan from Jahorse. Celestia shifted the topic before he could question her further. Now's the time to say goodbye if you want to go home. Oh my god, again! Jahorse groaned and rubbed his face with his hoof. His head was spinning, and he heard the chirping of birds. Wait, where was he? He blinked, then looked around to see Jadar, along with a large winged unicorn. No, wait, an alicorn. There was an alicorn standing next to him. He'd only heard stories about the alicorns from his troops, and Jahorse noticed that Jadar wasn't smiling. In fact, he looked outright distraught. Jahorse got up and then asked, Did we win? Yes. Jadar gestured behind Jahorse. Where once there was a seemingly unending tide of undead surrounding the dark castle Castanor, now there were ruins among the thousands of soldiers gathering themselves and heading towards the hill that he stood upon. Still, it was a victory, so Jahorse ran over to hug his best friend. Jadar turned to the embrace, though Jahorse saw his smile was filled with sadness. But it will be our last victory together. Jahorse stepped back, confused and scared at what he said. What do you mean? Jadar glanced at the magical portal behind himself. I must go. By this point, soldiers were starting to arrive on the hill. Jahorse looked between them, the portal, and finally Jadar. Realization clicked in his mind about where the portal led. But all present, listen to me. Jadar boomed as he addressed the growing crowd. Today we have won. The malevolent darkness has been defeated. He raised his hand triumphantly, and the troops cheered with him. But know this, it will return one day. For now, you must keep the faith as you have been taught, and always remain vigilant. Zebrica needs time to heal from its many wounds, and that is not the task that I was brought here for. He took a deep breath and announced, It is time for me to go. The soldiers' cheers morphed into confusion, then despair. The elf raised his hand to quell their concerns. Sarael brought me here to lead you to victory, and that victory has been achieved. I must return to my home now, but I will not leave you without someone to guide you through this new era. Jadar turned to Jahorse. I will entrust my deepest friend and companion, Jahorse, with this sacred task. Please let me go with you, whispered Jahorse. You have a family now. I would never take you away from that, Jadar replied. He returned his attention to his soldiers and raised his voice again. Just as I was brought for a mission, so was Jahorse. With mine complete, his now begins. Jadar looked directly at Jahorse with a firm resolution. Kneel. With tears in his eyes, Jahorse knelt before Jadar. The elf withdrew his blade and bow and set them on the ground, and then proclaimed, I hereby abdicate my position as ruler of Jad Empire. In my stead, I appoint Jahorse as ruler and defender of the faith. Jahorse was 64th of his name, but he will be the last to bear that name. For now, he forges his own destiny with Sarael's blessing. Jadar reached forward to hug his companion again. The two embraced. With a trembling voice, Jahorse quickly pleaded, But you need a horse. No, Jadar whispered back as he pressed his forehead to Jahorse. What I need is for you to be strong. You are more than everything I could ever hope in for a friend, and I know you will truly do wonderful things. Before Jahorse could respond, his friend left his embrace. Jadar looked to his gathered troops once more, and for the first time in countless years, his composure broke. I order all of you who believe and trust in me to put your faith in Jahorse like you did to me. You must keep the faith of Sarael alive so that his sun will shine across Zebrica for generations to come. Jadar suddenly turned away and walked toward the portal as the soldiers began to cry in disbelief that he was really leaving. However, just before he stepped through, he turned around to look at his best friend and Sarael's faithful one more time. His expression was stoic, but the tears streaming down his cheeks betrayed how difficult this choice was for him. He waved goodbye, and then he was gone. This, my friends, is the end. Thank you for playing this year's April Fool's Update, brought to you by the creators of both Equestrian War and also the creators of Abanar, where apparently Celestia from My Little Pony went into the world of Abanar in EU4. This story, this is amazing. This is insanely good. I can't even really begin to describe this. Guys, I don't even know how to process this. This is, wow. Truly, I am once again blown away by Equestrian War. Like, the sheer level of detail, the sheer level of writing, the sheer level of everything that goes into this is just amazing. It is actually amazing. It is truly amazing. And now there's that whole thing with Abanar and Celestia that I actually want to know. I want to know what happened while it is that all of these events were going down, because this isn't just something that's done as an April Fool's joke. Like, it is a genuine, serious project that creates a powerful, like, it's a story. It is an actual good story. Sometimes a little bit silly, at other times very touching. It just, I'm I can't even speak. I can't, it's good. It's really good. And you see the kind of level of dedication that goes into a project like this. It's fantastic. Here's what I will do then. I have wanted to play other games. Like, I've wanted to make a return to do back more of like Victoria 3 and other things like that. And I wanted to do EU4 before it is that Project Caesar returns. I might even do the whole thing with Abanar. So tell you what, I know I still owe the thing for Stellaris, and I'm going to do that. I need to do that one with the Cat one, and I think I'm going to need to do the Celestia whole thing in Abanar. Let me know in the comment section below what it is that you all think. Like, what other types of things should we do? I genuinely want your input and to hear from you all so I know what kind of things we need to do on this channel. Because if there are things where I can present and tell a story, then I am all for that. I love being able to do these kinds of things. And I love having you all here with me. So I will leave you here today at the end of this journey. And now I have to look at what it is that I'm going to be doing next. Thank you, my friends, for watching. I'll see you all next time, and goodbye.